engaging celebrity interviews, exciting updates from Christian filmmakers, movie reviews so you can choose your movies wisely, and so much more here on Faith on Film with Isaac Hernandez and Holly McClure.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Faith on Film, which, by the way, I'm very excited because Holly, you had a chance to do an interview with the director of a wonderful movie that's coming out on Netflix soon.
I did, Isaac, and I'm very excited about this for, Christians all over the world who are wanting something inspirational for the holidays. Well, Mary is coming out on Netflix, and it was directed by DJ Caruso. And I love DJ. I've followed him for years in his career. He's done so many secular movies that I love, but he also did Redeeming Love. And I just love how he did that movie as well. So for those of you who've seen that or know that, I think you're going to really love this interview.
Well, that's wonderful. You know what? Let's take a look at the trailer and go right on to your interview.
I'm thrilled to interview you because I'm a big fan, okay? I'm a big fan from Disturbia, Eagle Eye, okay? I Am Number 4. Why didn't you do a sequel? Kind of mad it wasn't done. I was on the campaign for let's get another one. It was so good. And then Cindy Bond's a dear friend, Redeeming Love. Love that. So I really am a big fan of your work.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And I watched Mary twice because I watched it the first time realizing there's so many things that I did not know and wasn't familiar with. It's a different version, and that's okay. And then the second time I watched it till I get the details, the things you did, the nuances. This is a beautiful epic. I love this. Is a biblical epic. Was it fun doing this and different for you?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was definitely different for me. I hadn't really gone back, in 2,000 years in time and made a film before, and to tackle that and to have, like you said, it's a little bit different in that we're seeing this movie particularly from Mary's perspective, right? This movie is from her perspective, and she's the central eyes and ears for us. And so to take us along through the journey that we know this story, we've been there before, but to see it from her perspective and what she endured, it was a lot of fun to explore this film further. Yeah.
Okay, and the costuming and the locations and the feel of it. This isn't, it's not The Chosen. This isn't other biblical stories that we've seen. You really took a different turn and explained the difference in this story that people will be surprised at, I think.
Yeah, well, I think, basically I said this is a widescreen story. So we shot this in anamorphic with these beautiful old-fashioned Hawk lenses that kind of big cinema. And we decided we're going to shoot this as an anamorphic film in the scope. We also said, there are certain tropes to the genre that people just accept, like the robes and the sandals and all these kind of things. And you go, well, what can you do that sort of is true to the times, but also gives the movie a look and a style? And Tina Calavis, who did some amazing costume work, we came in with some of the Japanese robes and the way that the Japanese robes draped. And we took these traditional costumes and just the way that we layered them and textured them and had them drape. And our color palette, we kind of said, it doesn't have to be, if this was the land of milk and honey, it doesn't have to be brown and drabby and gray. I don't know if you see that our Bethlehem is blue, this beautiful blue city and all these colors. Yes. So we really wanted to take those tropes and to push it cinematically. And there's not an accidental frame in the movie. We really, really careful about where the light was and how we can do this and always keeping some beautiful backlight on Mary and all those things. So it was really, really meticulously detailed to say this is going to be a cinematic, an epic cinematic experience, not just another film. Sometimes you don't have the resources to do certain things, but we wanted this to be a big, beautiful epic.
And it was. And Mary wore yellow. I was very surprised. I was like, wait, Mary's in yellow? I mean, very different to see her color. But I love what you did. I love how you did that. I mean, it really, again, folks, you're going to be just mesmerized by the epic feel of this and the costuming. You're right. The priests and the parents. Now, for Christians, I was raised all my life and, on the Bible. So I know the Bible. In the Bible, there's not really a story in the Bible I've been reading about Mary's parents. Right. But I know in the Catholic faith, there is stories about her parents. Anna and I'm sorry, I forgot. Joachim.
Yeah.
So explain how you've done something kind of different in this.
Well, it was interesting because I was raised Catholic and I've always heard about Joachim and Anne and saints and we celebrated their saint day. And I was always like, wait, okay, so those are Mary's parents. What is Mary's story then? What is how did this all come about? And also realizing that they were not gifted a child. And so there's some non-canonized scripture or text that didn't make it into the Bible, like the infancy gospel of James or the proto-evangelium, as some people call it. And it talks about Mary's parents and their life and Gabriel visiting them and how Mary's birth kind of came about and sort of the Immaculate Conception in that sort of way. So we thought, wow, if we have this great foundation of what everyone knows in the Bible from Luke and Matthew and the stories, and we know that, but how do we tell Mary's life story? And this gave us a great in to understanding Mary's life story, how she was born, was she turned over to the temple, and she gets turned over to the temple and then has to get ostracized from it. So it was great in giving us that foundation to build off the biblical aspect of it and still fill it in with reverence and text and scriptures that were from that time.
So this is very interesting. You were raised Catholic, so you were very familiar with this side of the story.
That's
because I never heard this side of the story. For me, I'm like, okay, wait, how do we know about those parents? And they sent her to be trained Bible. I mean, this was a new thing. But you see, I think audiences, because of the Passion, because of the Chosen, they're getting used to liberties being taken and different ways to tell a story that maybe not all of us are familiar with by the book, but it creates that world that maybe it's the in-between things that aren't in there, and you get
right.
People are open, right?
I think they're open to it too, and you have to also remember too, because I was like, the way that these stories passed along over the years, they were told, right, and people would fill in, and so they obviously then the scripture became down and became what it was, the reverence of the scripture. But yeah, and it's I think it's the responsibility of the filmmakers, like we did, to still pay reverence to the scriptures, but fill in those gaps in a way that's supporting the character, supporting the emotion. And if it says in the Bible they fled because Herod sent the soldiers, Roman soldiers, to get them, what would it be like to protect your child, the Christ child, and knowing that the Roman soldiers in the room next door, right? It's like that would be a really incredible experience, and to put us in those places and to sort of extrapolate off of what we know, that's what makes really good cinema, but also pays reverence to the scripture.
So was your faith kind of affected or different, or did it add a different level of element later to your faith?
I think you're always a work in progress, right? And so we're all works in progress.
We all are.
Yeah.
Is wrong.
Yes. Yeah. And so for me, there was a great, there was a great humbling experience, like taking on and tackling the story. But then also, I think the revelation for me came when Gabriel comes and he visits Mary, and he basically Annunciation, and she then makes that acceptance and says, like, let it be me, let it be done to me. And I thought, wow, I get it. Like, this is the reason I'm making this movie, because it's like Mary gave it all to him and she made that choice. Like, and that's the choice we all have to make, right? Like,
yes, can
we do that? And can we give it all to him?
Yeah.
Great. And knowing that it's not always going to make life easier, but that's what we need to do. So for me, it reinforced my belief in, like, we have to make the right choice. We have to choose the right path. We have to choose that path of grace, and don't let mankind and all the things that we think are vitally important get in the way of choosing the path of grace. So for me, that's sort of a revelation, like a refreshing thing that I got out of making the film.
Now, okay, we've read and you heard, okay, she wasn't married and people were angry and they tried to stop them and da-da-da. Okay, but when you see the way you do it, wow, it was like a whole wow. I can really agree. I mean, Mary was like an action girl. She was a little timid little Mary who was afraid to move, and just, I mean, I love her. You really put a lot of the,
Yeah, well, I wanted her to be, especially when you meet her when she's young, just this beautiful creature who loves the world and loves nature and chasing butterflies and doing all that stuff. And so that you give her an adventurous soul, right? And then ultimately she's sort of taken away from her family. She's in the temple, but she still has that, right? And she's going to maintain that. And, I thought, okay, again, we fall into the tropes of what we think the movie should be. And it's like, I was thinking, I just don't want to see Joseph like pulling her on a donkey, going slow across the road. We all know that. So man, they had horses back then, right? Why can't we ride horses, right? So why can't
I thought, oh my gosh, you put her on a horse. I love that.
Exactly.
And
I think that's going to make her. I think it makes Mary a much more accessible character to the modern audiences. And I really hope that the youth come out of this thinking, wow, Mary and Joseph, they kind of had to go through some of the same things we did, and like there's this familiarity. And look, Mary's cool. I mean, Mary's a cool character. She needs to be. She needs to be treated with reverence. But she's a great person to have in your life and to be your friend.
You made her cool. But it wasn't like some other things that I've seen even last year in musicals and other things where it's like, you made it kind of, this is a very tricky thing. When you have or Mary or any of the iconic, biblical people we're, reverencing.
Mhm.
You can go a certain way, but if you go too far, then you're like, you've spoiled them. But I don't think you did. Like I said, I think you're right. I think the young people will really love the fighting spirit that she has for her baby and that she has for what God gave her to do. And she has the spiritual knowledge behind her. So she knows how important that is. I love how you show that she's tempted. Interesting.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's true. You always have that voice, there's always that voice that we all have that wants us to take the easy way out and like, do I need to go down the road? And there's no different. We have that, it lives with us today. So there's those two voices that are always banging around. And sure, when Mary's going through all these hard times and she loses her father and all these things, you kind of go like, there's going to be temptation for you to say like, I don't know if I can do this, right? And I think it's really interesting to put that into her life. And obviously she always makes the right choice, but it's something that we all deal with every day. And so as a real human character and viewing her humanity and showing her humanity, she's going to be tempted by those voices.
Now, we know that Joseph is the lineage, the line of David. So that's, carries that line down. You didn't do a lot of backstory, or am I not remembering that you did a lot of backstory on Joseph? We kind of like.
No, well, the most important thing for me was to give Joseph a voice because he's speechless. He doesn't say a word in the Gospels. There's not one word that Joseph utters in the Scripture.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah. Right. So how do you give Joseph a voice? And you start to read, and there's many interpretations. He was younger, he was older, he was this, and I just thought I want to put two young people, young adults, young woman and a young man, and put them in the situation and see that they kind of, it's beautiful to see that they have to kind of fall for each other, right? They have to kind of become a team and in protecting this baby. And he's, I think one of the things I'm most proud of in this movie is that we did give Joseph a voice and he's fighting to protect this child and to protect her. And even though he doesn't know what he's in, he even says it to her, right? There's a moment in the movie that I always think is so worth it where after this whole scene and Mary gets out in the town and the town is trying to stone her and he comes in and he just fights everybody off. And after all that, they're sitting down and taking a breath. And he says, I'm going to love this child the best I can. And if you let me, I will love you the best that I can.
Yes.
You want any who's going to fight for his family to be that. And I'm very proud that Joseph has a voice in him.
And in the Bible, the angel did appear to him and did give him, that was probably the only time we heard from Joseph and, as far as the dream, but it's very, in between about how they met and whether it was a kind of all that. So I love how this will really enlighten people and make them feel like, oh, okay, it connects the dots, so to speak. That's the story. Now, you described Mary as an origin story, this version of her, but like we've been saying, this is going to go deeper than a lot now for some of the Christian audience. Now, Catholic Christian audience, are they going to be happy with this?
Yeah, they're going to be happy. Yeah, because
Catholics are picky about this.
Yeah, I know. I think Catholics are picky, but the good news is I'm going next week to see the Pope because he saw a picture of the movie and he heard about the movie and somebody saw it that works with him and we're so moved by. So I think the idea is to celebrate the Virgin Mary and to celebrate the Virgin Mary and to go, yes, there's certain interpretations in certain different ways. Christians, Catholics, anybody that we all worship her. But she was the greatest woman I think ever to walk the earth on this planet. And we're paying reverence to her and we're bringing attention to her. And I think it's really important in a really beautiful way. Netflix is really behind this movie and supporting the movie, and we're bringing her to the world. And there's nothing blasphemous or we're just celebrating how beautiful Mary was.
I love how you name drop. I'm going to go see the Pope next week.
Yes,
exactly. I love how you.
No, but I mean, just to say, like the Catholics, I think they're really going to embrace the film. I think they're going to love it. It's made for me from probably a primary, like a perspective of someone who was raised Catholic and all that. Yeah. But I also knew that we need to just sort of, we're telling the portion of Mary's story that's just very pure from her birth to the moment she delivers Christ to the temple. And it's that simple. It's that story. It's that beautiful story that we all know and we all love.
We do. And I love how Gabriel, was it your idea or was the writers or both of you to identify the blue? Because I thought that was really great how everyone saw the man in blue. You saw it kind of, then you're like, everyone related to that and that kind of connected everybody to go.
Yeah, the idea for blue came from Tim's original script. So it was really from Tim's script. And I just decided to sort of, because every time the angels are appearing, it's always like, don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid. I just wanted to make sure that there was that fine line. When someone is in your room or someone shows up, it's not necessarily like this sweet thing with wings and flying and letting birds and doves. It's like sort of like, wait, what is going on here?
Right.
And so there's this beautiful way that Gabriel is sort of, perfectly lit, or his eyes come into, the candlelight gets his eye, and there's a mystery to Gabriel. He is a comforting factor that he has, but there's a mystery to that angel coming in, and I think he's such a Dudley O'Shaughnessy, who plays him, is such a striking figure. And in that blue, he's just fantastic.
He is. It's, and I was like, I like that idea. I like it because we always think angels in white. We always just a traditional thought. But I like how you did that, and then how it really connected for the characters. And I like Joseph, and then I saw this, man in blue, and they're like, you saw the man. It like connected them. The father and the mother, like, well, okay, you must be okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
But I want people to pay attention to that because I feel like that was a strong point in your story. The way that
it was, and also too, it's in a way too, it's expanding our color palette, like taking it out of sort of your biblical browns and only earth tones, and we really are making some more poppy choices with the colors. And so visually, I think the movie's very stimulating as well.
Oh, I'm telling you, Mary was in yellow. Okay, everyone shocked at that, but Okay, so for you've seen it, it's done. The baby's been birthed. What was one of your favorite scenes, that how it came out on screen? What's something that you look at and go, oh, I love it when I see that. I love how it all worked, or the acting. Or
it's funny. It's like, always like there's some great majestic things with horses and chasing and stuff. But for me, it's always a little moment. I think one of my favorite moments is when Mary goes in and she prays, and all of this is going down, and the arranged marriage with Joseph, and she goes in and she prays to the Lord, and she basically says, like, you talk to everybody about this. Why can't you talk to me, let me know? And we have this one beautiful camera shot that just sort of tracks along her face and stuff. And the candles are burning, and she doesn't really get an answer, right? And I thought, wow, this is my favorite moment in the movie, because how many times do we ask for something and we think it's what we want and think it's what we're going to get, and we don't necessarily get it, or we don't get that answer right away. So that to me was a private little moment with Mary. That is I think it's one of my favorite moments in the entire film.
I have to laugh because, DJ, you got, like you said, there's horses, there's racing, there's the temple, there's the evil, there's the good and the evil. I mean, there's a lot in this movie, but I know what you're talking about. That was a sweet moment. It really was. And the wedding. I love how you showed their wedding. Yeah,
the wedding's great because, particularly when the wedding shows up and you see I think it's shot beautifully, and Gavin Struthers, our cinematographer, did an amazing job. But it's also that point of the movie when the wedding, with a lot of things is going tough and things are going rough for Mary, and she's going through, and then we have that wedding, and it was really fun to shoot that wedding because it was like one of the times we go, great, this is like a really good time, and it's a really up time and a great moment. And the wedding scene, and I think Timothy Williams, who did the music, the score, the score, is just beautiful score, and that is a great scene too.
Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, because the score was amazing too. It all works together. So, I'm very excited about it, and I'm very excited for people to see it, and and to get the reactions and feedback for how it expands the world of Mary and her parents, what she went through. And I don't want to ruin it, but that last parting shot I thought was really powerful, and her story being told. So anyway, great job on this. Now, I heard a rumor, or I got to ask you, are you working on Triple X4? Is it going to happen with Vin? Is it going to happen? Come on.
Well, they're trying. Believe it or not, it's more of a business thing where, like, Paramount and Revolution and the company, like, who owns the rights, and so everyone's ready. The script's been ready for a while. We're just trying to work out the business aspect of it, but it would sure be fun to go back and do that again.
Oh my gosh, I love how you're doing things. I mean, is there anything else that you're working on now, or are you taking?
Well, I have a great little drama film that I think I'm going to put together next, and we've got a lot of people very interested in it. It's called The Delivered, and it's really about two brothers. And for me, thematically, it's about forgiveness, because that's where I am in my life right now. I want to make movies that are important to me and important for me to say something about, because I struggle the most with forgiveness. I think it's really the hardest thing to truly forgive somebody, and how that is. And there's this conflict between these two brothers, and there's some action and some things about it. But it's a really, really good script, and I think that's what I'm going to do next.
Well, in Redeeming Love, you dealt with forgiveness, and I mean, I'm glad that it's now streaming, so more people are seeing that movie.
Yeah,
I think the more the people that see it, they're going, "Oh, this was a great movie. How did I miss this in the theaters?"
Yeah, no, I will tell you, I get every day I go from all over the world, something on social media. That movie saved my life. I was trafficked. I mean, I tell you, the rewards from that movie that the Lord has given me have been, it didn't matter that the movie wasn't this box office smash. It was like, it has been one of the most rewarding experiences.
Really?
Yeah. And I know Cindy Bond and my wife have the Redeeming Love Foundation, and they've raised millions and millions of dollars to help fight trafficking and to help girls. It's been a blessing. The movie's been a blessing. And I'm telling you, from all over the world, some of the letters or the notes or the things that we get about that film, it makes it all worth it.
I'm so happy. Thank you for saying that. I'm happy to hear that you're getting good response, because I know it was a struggle when it came out, for many reasons, box office. And I get mad. I got to tell you this. I get mad because Christians are the worst on our own films, Christian films, and our own faith-based films. I think that sometimes we're the worst on our own. And whether it just didn't register, but I mean, the author, the book, the way that it's told, and it was beautifully done. And I mean, and I've seen it since it's streaming, and I always watch when it's on. Wherever it's at, I'm watching it and enjoying it. It is such a powerful story. So I'm
Thank you. And it has been, it's been great because, like, I think, the audience scores were through the roof. And when we tested the movie, the audiences have really, really loved the movie. I think it was just a movie it's misunderstood because it isn't cookie cutter of what people would expect of a certain genre.
Oh, come on. I mean, and to talk about first of all, there was no blatant nudity. Okay, let's just clear the air there. And for people to talk about, oh, there's some nudity. I've seen more nudity on LA beaches, the swimsuits that women wear than you had in that movie. So I'm sorry. I let so see, God redeems it for you. God's redeemed it. He's having people watch it all over the world, and I'm glad that you're getting that response on that. And I'm hoping that you get the same wonderful response on Mary. And can't wait to see your next film. I just love what you do. So promise me you'll come back and talk about it.
I promise you I'll be back. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, CJ. Thanks so much. God bless you, and we'll be praying for you. It's an amazing success.
Thank you. God bless you.
Great interview again, Holly.
Thank you, Isaac. Thanks. He's such an easy person to interview. I just loved him. Clearly I did. Yeah. But you know what? It's interesting too, because I like the fact that I said I didn't grow up with these Catholic beliefs. So there's characters and there's people that he's referring to that, weren't part of my faith and my upbringing. And he explained that as a Catholic, they were part of his. And of course, so I'm just saying this to say, for you out in the audience, we have people who are Catholics, we have people who are Baptists, we have people who are, identifying all different ways of their faith. So there are some things that may be a little controversial in you, or you may say, that's not how I was raised, I don't believe that.
Right.
And I kind of felt that too. However, don't let that sway you on this movie, because it's a beautiful film, wonderfully done, amazing. I'm telling you, it's not the little peaceful biblical ethic. It's got some stuff in there that you're like, wow, this is how it must have really been. And listen, don't we watch The Chosen and look at all the controversy people say, well, that didn't happen. And what they're saying was, well, there's nothing in the Bible about that. So it could have happened. So again, that's what I would say with Mary is there's things that aren't in the Bible. Like you said, Joseph never has a lot of dialogue, so we don't really know much about Joseph, other than his lineage and the line where he came from David. So I just think people should view this with an open mind, but I'm excited for people to see it's a beautiful film. And for the holidays, for Christmas, has that Christmas feel.
Sure. Now, you mentioned The Chosen, and you've got a little update on The Chosen, don't you?
That's true. We do have an update, and there's a new season 5 coming out, and we have a trailer.
All right. Well, let's take a look at that.
Listen carefully, because I'm going to tell you what is about to happen.
This is my Father's word. Oh, let me never forget that though the wrong seems off so strong,
The hour is coming.
God is the ruler yet.
I tell you, they just keep going and going with wonderful product there. And let me tell you a quick story. Now, I just came back from a vacation. I took a cruise, And every day from the day one, I saw this guy with a Chosen shirt, and oh, look, that guy must be a Chosen fan. The next day, I see him with a different one. By the third day, he had another one. So I said, I have to go talk to him. I went to talk to him, and he says, oh, yeah, I have 8 of this. So there's definitely a big heavy-duty fan, isn't there?
There is a fan base and a following for sure. And season 5, folks, is going to be a very tumultuous season, and it's going to be a lot of emotion. Jesus goes into the marketplace and turns over the tables, and so he's creating a situation. He rides in with the palms on Palm Sunday. This is going to be one of those seasons, so it's not as maybe easy watching as some of the ones previously before, but we all know the story, we know the ending, but that's why this one's going to really, I think, get a lot of attention, and people are going to want to see it, and they've got 2 more after that, so it's interesting what they're going to do.
Wow.
Season
Now,
5.
where can people watch this new season?
I think they're going to theatrically release, because that's what they've been saying, that they, it's going to be out in the spring, but they're also going to obviously have it for streaming, because they want that for their viewers. But it's been a big thing, and I think that's Lionsgate. It's been a big push with Lionsgate to have it theatrical. So I'm having a feeling that's what they're going to do. They have success with that kind of rollout. So I think they will do that again, but we'll see.
I'm sure we'll have more news on it as we progress through this.
We will, and maybe from Dallas himself.
That would be great. We need to have Dallas on the show again. I know you interviewed him recently, but it was such a short little interview, and it wasn't about The Chosen, so we got to have him back.
Exactly.
Well, Holly, that was it. Another great show. Thank you so much for that wonderful interview.
Well, it was wonderful. Well, thank you. And it was great. My pleasure to bring these kind of talent and interviews to Faith on Film and our fans and people. Please like it and comment and let us know how you like these interviews. We'd love to hear from you.
Please do. Go to our website, by the way, faithonfilmtv.com. That's faithonfilmtv.com. And I think right there you can even leave us a message through there. But if not, certainly go to our Facebook at Faith on Film TV and just leave us a comment.
Right.
All right?
And look at our social media, because we're always posting things on social media.
All the time.
So
all righty. Till next week.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Write to us at faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. That's faithonfilmtv@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Faith on Film TV. Also, go to our YouTube channel, Faith on Film TV, and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications on our latest Faith on Film shows.